Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Craig Haney, and I am the Director of Marketing at Energent. I wanted to thank you for taking the time today in a very busy schedule to learn about how you can leverage energy incentives programs for your business. Energy incentive programs for efficiency have become very popular with utility companies in the past few years. This has been primarily driven by requirements presented to the utilities to reach conservation targets set out by government organizations. To reach these lofty energy conservation goals, many utilities have come up with programs to encourage businesses and industries to lower their energy use through improved processes and newer equipment. Many times these programs come with red tape or strings or other commitments that may not be fully understood by the businesses participating, and it creates some uncertainty about how these incentive programs work. Are they worth all the effort? What happens if I don't reach my commitments? So it is our goal at the end of this webinar, or by the end of the webinar, to explain what programs are available across the country, what is required to access them, and how Energent can be a valuable partner to maximize the incentives available for your energy programs and for your manufacturing business. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the question tab to the right of your screen and type your questions. The presentation will take about 30 minutes, and we will leave 15 minutes for questions that people may have asked throughout the webinar. The webinar will also be recorded and posted on the Energent website, so if you want to refer to this webinar at a later time, you are able to do so. As well, you are able to forward the link to any colleagues or friends that may have been interested in this topic, but unable to attend. So let's begin. So today's webinar will be focused on informing you about how different energy incentive programs across this big country, how to access these programs, what thresholds are required to sign up for the specific programs, and what commitments are needed to access the money. We will talk about the specifics of each program, whether they are for capital upgrades or for performance applications such as Energent, or for human capital costs such as hiring an energy manager. Finally, we will tie in how we can help you access the appropriate incentive programs for your business and maximize the return on investment that is possible. So let's start out by taking an overview of how energy incentive programs are generally structured. So energy incentive programs are designed to support and encourage companies to reduce their energy consumption. Most do this through special energy conservation measures, or projects, designed to lower the energy costs by implementing procedural changes or through capital improvement, such as replacing or retrofitting capital equipment, like boilers or lighting. These project-based incentive programs usually have thresholds that must be met and committed to by the company to ensure saving targets are met. Some thresholds might be a minimum level of consumption of electricity or natural gas, or a minimum amount of savings that must be achieved, and this could be in demand or in consumption. Embedded within these program parameters are required payback timelines that companies must meet to get their energy projects approved. Often these timelines are tight, maybe usually 1 year, but if these paybacks can be committed to and, most importantly, achieved, then the incentive programs can be very lucrative and often offer, and the savings persist, improving the overall benefit to the company. When investigating incentive programs that are being offered by utilities, it is important to understand your company's goals, as not all the programs are designed for the same outcome. Some are very good at enhancing a company's ability to justify capital upgrades, and others are designed to reward low-cost or no-cost process changes. As well, some programs offer upfront incentive money, where others are offering the funding based on successfully fulfilling requirements throughout the project. Finally, these incentive programs are not designed as an opportunity for a company to receive free money. In almost all cases, the company must commit to an energy reduction target, participating both financially and operationally to achieve the energy conservation results, and ultimately embedding energy conservation into the culture of the organization. It is important to understand how these incentive programs operate and are designed to choose the best ones for your organization. So we will now review the Natural Resources Canada incentive program around the newly released ISO 50001 Energy Management Systems standard. So we've organized today's webinar to review a federal incentive program and then move into incentive programs at the provincial level. So let's start at the national level with the Canadian Industry Program for Energy Conservation, or CIPEC, designed to fund the new ISO 50001 Energy Management Systems standard. So this is a screenshot of the CIPEC website, and specifically the CIPEC program. As you can see from the blue circle, CIPEC is focused on introducing and piloting the CSA ISO 50001 standard. So let's take a closer look into this standard and the funding available to implement in your manufacturing business. The purpose of the international standard is to enable organizations to establish the systems and processes necessary to improve energy performance. This includes energy efficiency, use, and consumption. Implementation of this international standard is intended to lead to reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and other related environmental impacts and energy costs through the systematic management of energy. This international standard specifies energy management systems requirements upon which an organization can develop and implement an energy policy and establish objectives, targets, and action plans. In the context of energy management, the plan, do, check, act approach can be outlined as follows. So the plan. We need to conduct an energy review and establish the baseline energy performance indicators, objectives, targets, and action plans necessary to deliver the results that will improve energy performance in accordance with the organization's energy policy. This is essentially establishing an energy plan. We need to implement the energy management action plans that we just created earlier. In checking, we need to monitor and measure processes and the key characteristics of operations that determine energy performance against the energy policy and objectives, and then report the results. And finally, we need to take actions to continually improve energy performance and using the energy management system. An energy management system is required for all ISO 50001 certifications. This system does not have to be a real-time software application such as Energen's, but it does require regular monitoring and reporting of energy commodities such as electricity, natural gas, and water. An automated system makes this process much easier and much faster. This slide is the schematic of the ISO Continual Improvement Protocol. For many of you, you are familiar with other ISO standards and the requirements and documentation around these. ISO 50001 follows a similar continuous improvement process designed to have impact throughout an organization. This is reinforced through having an energy policy as the first aspect of the process and move through implementation and operations, ensuring these operations are achieving the required results. Maybe more importantly, the review phase that encourages updates to the energy policy as lessons are learned from the implementation and operations phase. So let's go back to the CIPEC homepage, and let's see what other funding opportunities are available to pilot and ultimately implement this ISO 50001 standard. This is the section of the homepage that you can view the incentive programs that are available. To help industrial and manufacturing organizations understand the value of ISO 50001 and pilot a project, CIPEC has developed an incentive program to reduce the risk and encourage adoption. CIPEC will support 50% of the cost of implementing an ISO 50001 pilot project, up to a total cost of $25,000. The components of the pilot include an energy management information system like Energen's, an EMIS audit, any professional fees incurred during this pilot project, and staff training. The final deliverable is a report that will detail the requirements to complete the certification. So certification isn't required, but it will present a report at the end that tells you what you need to do. Baseline models and energy consumption, energy performance targets, estimated timelines, and monitoring and reporting procedures are all required at the end of the pilot. To be honest, most pilot projects will exceed the $50,000 required to receive the full $25,000 rebate. For those that are interested in conducting a pilot project for ISO 50001, you should look at this as an investment in long-term energy management strategy. So that is the only national energy management incentive program that is available through Natural Resources Canada and CIPEC. There are a number of different provincial programs that I will now investigate. So each province handles their utilities slightly differently, making this a very complicated incentive structure. Thankfully, the team at Energen has done a significant amount of work to understand the differences between provinces for you and to help you understand how to take advantage of these incentive programs to lower your energy cost and lower your impact on the environment. So we will focus on the provinces that are attending this webinar today. So let's start on the left coast or the west coast and look at BC Hydro's program. So BC Hydro has been considered a leader in developing and executing on energy efficiency programs. These programs have been successful in lowering British Columbia's electricity consumption and inviting other utilities across North America to investigate why the BC Hydro programs have been so successful. Their programs began in the commercial sector and have yielded success across small and large commercial buildings. And this same dedication to energy efficiency is being continued in the industrial sector. As you can see, I've put up the BC Hydro homepage again to help you navigate where to find many of these incentive programs. BC Hydro's industrial program is set up with three specific components: funding to help hire an energy manager, energy studies and audits to understand the opportunities, and plant and equipment upgrades to execute on these opportunities. Now, we do understand that there are going to be some additions coming up in the near future, so keep an eye on the Energen website for more updates here. An energy manager, though, going back to the original ones, an energy manager can become the quarterback of any energy management program and can be accountable for the success of any of the projects. Energy studies and audits help organizations understand the potential for energy conservation and identify and prioritize the best opportunities to achieve targets. The types of studies that are funded include site investigations, plant-wide audits, end-use assessments, and feasibility studies. Finally, plant and equipment information supports capital upgrades for large electricity-sucking equipment such as compressed air systems, fans, blowers, lighting, pumps, and refrigeration. Obviously, depending on the process involved in your business, your organization will want to explore different avenues and programs that suit your overall goals. Understanding the programs available is a very good first step. So, continuing east, this is Manitoba Hydro's homepage. The incentive programs can be found at the bottom right corner of the homepage. This is where you'll find the PowerSmart program for commercial and industrial businesses. Once you click through, we can find specific programs available for industrial customers. So we'll focus on two programs that Manitoba Hydro manages. The first one is Performance Optimization Program for electricity and the Natural Gas Optimization Program for natural gas. So there are two available programs for electricity conservation if you have operations in the province of Manitoba. As with many programs across the country, the programs start with feasibility studies to investigate the opportunities to invest in and verify savings opportunities. The funding available for these programs are 50% supported by the utility and 50% supported by the participating company. Once again, no free money. The programs will cover half of the study setup and any remaining costs up to a total of $15,000. There is also funding to implement the results of the feasibility studies. These incentive programs are designed to reward participants as they reduce their electricity consumption. As you can see, companies can be reimbursed 10 cents per kilowatt hour saved annually and $200 for every kilowatt of demand reduced. As with almost all programs, there are limitations to the incentives, and these are limited to 50% of the total project cost, or the amount needed to give the project a one-year payback, or up to $250,000 in total incentives. Manitoba Hydro also manages natural gas programs in the province. The natural gas program is set up with an identical structure, but with slightly different and smaller incentive numbers. Feasibility studies are priced at the same level as electricity. The implementation measures are funded at 30 cents for every meter cubed of gas reduced, and the limits are just a little lower, up to $100,000. So now let's explore the incentive programs available for electricity users in Ontario. Ontario has one of the more complicated electricity distribution systems in North America, so it should come to no one's surprise that the conservation rebates and incentives are also one of the most complicated. Saying that, there is an opportunity to save significant amounts of money if the programs can be managed properly. For those that are not from Ontario, I want to provide a brief overview of how the incentive programs work here in the province. The programs are designed and funded through the Ontario Power Authority, but the programs are delivered and administered at the local level through local distribution companies, or LDCs. So here is the OPA website. The OPA runs a number of incentive programs for commercial, institutional, and industrial customers. So we will highlight two areas that are focused on the industrial sector: demand response and process and systems. There are a number of programs that may benefit industrial customers, but these are the two that offer the largest incentives. Demand response programs pay large electricity users to curtail or reduce their electricity use during times when the electricity grid is under the most stress. The goal of these programs is to reduce the strain on the grid during the warmest times of the year, and the OPA is willing to pay big dollars for you to do this. Industrial companies must have cost-effective ways to reduce their grid electricity consumption and still maintain their production processes. For those that have this infrastructure available, it can be a big revenue generator. Energent supports companies that have demand response programs by understanding when the demand on the grid is greatest, and therefore help manufacturing companies prepare for possible demand response events from the LDCs. So the Process and Systems Program is designed to support improvements in industrial processes and capital projects designed to eliminate waste and lower overall energy costs. So let's take a deeper look into the Process and Systems Program. The Process and Systems Program is divided into two parts: energy efficiency upgrades and ongoing energy management and monitoring. The energy efficiency upgrade part supports the research and implementation of purchasing energy efficient capital equipment. Typically, the incentives programs begin with a preliminary study. If the study results show opportunities for saving through capital upgrades, then the company would move to a more detailed study to investigate the business case. These studies are more expensive and more detailed and will result in a clear go or no-go analysis for specific capital upgrades. Finally, for those detailed studies that can give the green light to invest in capital projects that will save 100 megawatt hours or more, then 70% of the costs are covered by the OPA. An important note here: a measurement and verification plan must be in place when measuring the savings. This ensures the projects are achieving savings that are required for the programs to be successful. Energent has been doing real-time measurement and verification for companies across Canada, and we're happy to showcase how our platform can support any OPA incentive program. Second part of the Process and Systems Program is the Energy Management and Monitoring Program. There are three main areas in the program: Embedded Energy Manager, Monitoring and Targeting Project, and a Meter Lending Project. An Embedded Energy Manager supports companies that do not have someone within their organization to oversee and manage energy. These energy managers will be responsible to deliver and execute the energy conservation plan that has been put in place in conjunction with the OPA. 80% of the energy manager's salary can be covered by the OPA, and this person would be responsible for implementing projects that would yield at least a 0.3% megawatt reduction in electricity demand. For large industrials, monitoring and targeting programs can find tremendous reductions in electricity through eliminating waste and streamlining processes. Once again, the OPA will cover 80% of the cost of an M&T system like Energent, but the company must consume 15,000 megawatt hours annually in electricity. The goal is to use the M&T system to develop, implement, and measure the results of energy conservation measures, but more importantly, maintain these savings levels for the long term. This is why they have stated 5-year reporting requirements after the program is complete. Monitoring and targeting is able to facilitate continuous improvement programs to ensure any savings opportunities that may have been realized early in the project are leveraged and continued long after the project is complete. Now, we just heard last week from the OPA that they may be dropping the 15,000 megawatt hour requirements to include M&T as part of the industrial incentive program. So they're adding one into the retrofit program, including monitoring and targeting that, which will open up the opportunities for smaller manufacturing facilities. So keep looking on the Energent website or on our monthly newsletter for any updates. Finally, the meter lending program can help engaged companies understand where possible energy management opportunities are through increased visibility in submetering. This is currently not being offered through the OPA, but we'll keep you updated on any changes, once again, through our website and in our newsletter. As I mentioned before, all of the OPA programs are administered through your LDC, so ensure you have a strong relationship with the conservation manager at your utility. This will be very helpful in understanding which programs best suit your individual needs. As we continue east, Hydro-Quebec has 2 electricity conservation initiatives that provide incentives for customers in Quebec to reduce their electricity consumption. The Continuous Measurement and Energy Management Incentives provides 50% of the funding necessary, up to $50,000, to develop and implement an electricity management plan, as well as 50% of the cost of purchasing measuring equipment, up to a total cost of $75,000. Measuring equipment can include submetering or an energy management system. For those companies that are more interested in finding the new technology to support energy conservation initiatives, Hydro-Quebec offers 50% of eligible project costs, up to a whopping number of $300,000, to reduce the risk of implementing highly effective new technologies. Efficiency New Brunswick has a very comprehensive industrial energy conservation initiative program and has had success in implementing various energy conservation projects. As with many programs, Energy Efficiency New Brunswick covered 50% of the cost of the project, but in this case they covered 100% of the cost of an energy management audit and implementation plan. Unfortunately, this program was canceled in March of this year, and we have not received official confirmation that the program will continue in its original form or even slightly modified. So keep watching the Energent website or, once again, our newsletter for more information on this, as we'll post new information as soon as we get it. So we'll now shift our focus from electricity programs to natural gas programs. The Canadian Gas Association has a great list of energy efficiency and incentives for businesses on their website. This can be seen on the slide now. So not all of the information is up to date, so we've done our best to update this information and provide it to you today. So we'll start in Ontario with Union Gas's incentive program for industrial clients. So to begin, click on the upper left of the Union Gas website where it says Rebates and Incentives. From this page, you can select Manufacturing, and as you can see here, there's another rebate and incentive menu. From this menu, the options for the incentives are finally revealed. You can see it's nice and easy. The Operations Maintenance portion of Union Gas Incentive Program supports implementing changes in operations and maintenance of equipment to lower costs. Examples of these improvements include upgrading or exchanging steam traps, heat exchangers, economizer repairs, and improvements to ventilation systems. The funding available is paid at 10 cents per meter cube saved, up to $20,000, or 50% of the total cost of the project. An integrated energy management system program is designed to assess, implement, and utilize a fully integrated system. These funds are available to assess the potential of an IEMS, 75% of the assessment fee, up to $20,000, and money to implement and manage the project moving forward, once again at 50%, up to $100,000. The implementations include metering, analysis, training, and recording. As with other programs, there are incentives to adopt proven yet new technologies to reduce the risk to customers and encourage the adoption of new and innovative pieces of equipment and software applications. The trick is to properly define these new technologies to ensure they meet the quote-unquote new and innovative criteria, yet at the same time meet the proven criteria. It's kind of interesting. So as with many of these other programs, these are often changing, so you can check the Union Gas website to stay on top of things. So the next natural gas utility that we will review is Enbridge. Enbridge is another natural gas distributor in Ontario. To find their incentive programs that are listed on their website, find the circled menu on the left of their home screen. Enbridge has designed their programs very similar to most other utilities by splitting up the incentives around identifying the opportunities and building the business case, and then tying some incentives to the actual energy reductions. For Enbridge's largest customers, those that consume 2.5 million meters cubed of natural gas, Enbridge will cover 50% of the cost of studies and programs designed to identify opportunities, measure the results, and perform the engineering studies, up to $10,000. As you can see, the incentives scale down all the way down to $1,000 for their smallest customers. To encourage and ensure that customers not only implement these findings from engineering studies, but maintain these results moving forward, there are 2 tiers of incentives that will cover natural gas reductions up to $75,000. These specific savings are per meters cubed that are listed here. Check with your Enbridge representative to see which rate structure you are currently in. Industrial customers consume 40% of all the natural gas consumed in Canada. For example, a single pulp and paper mill in British Columbia can consume 1.5 million gigajoules of natural gas every year, or enough to heat 15,000 homes. Now, we've been talking about meters cubed earlier, so to keep our numbers consistent, 1.5 million gigajoules is equivalent to 39 million meters cubed of gas. That's a lot of gas. FortisBC manages natural gas across southern BC and north to Whistler and Prince George. So to find out more about their industrial incentive programs, please click on the circled area on their webpage. At this point, FortisBC has a rebate program to conduct an industrial energy audit. This program is fully funded by FortisBC, but must be pre-approved prior to beginning the audit. We also know that FortisBC will be launching new programs in the near future, so keep watching the Energent website or jump on our newsletter for updates and information on some of the new programs for small and medium-sized industrial customers across British Columbia. There are 2 natural gas suppliers in Quebec, Gazfer and Gaz Metro. Excuse my accent. We will start by exploring the programs that Gaz Metro provides. Gaz Metro has 4 energy efficiency programs: feasibility study, implementation measures, recommissioning programs, and a program to support innovative technologies. These programs are set up very similar to other natural gas utilities across the country in which they support these feasibility studies, implementation programs designed to maintain the savings and reduce the risk of adoption of new technologies by offsetting some of the costs. So hopefully by now you've seen some of the trends on how these programs are structured. Gazfer funds feasibility studies focused on their retrofit programs. Specifically, these programs are designed to replace older, less efficient water heaters and boilers. So I want to take a little bit of time now to show you how Energent can support energy management incentive programs for both the end user as well as the utilities. For the end user, we often perform a landscape assessment to help understand what programs you qualify for, either natural gas or electricity, who you need to talk to, and help planning out the next steps. The landscape assessment is an important component of any energy management program. From that landscape assessment, we will have a better understanding of the requirements necessary for you to achieve your incentive targets, which commodity or commodities offer the best programs for your manufacturing business, and which programs tackle based on specific, measurable, and predictable results. This is the perfect time to install an energy management information system, such as Energent. An EMIS system can provide a lot of valuable information as you embark on an energy management strategy and build your energy management plan. Data is a valuable commodity that will help you guide the decision-making process, including which projects to begin with, what investment is necessary, and what can the company expect in energy savings. This type of information improves the outcome of all projects. It lowers the risks, and it ensures projects continue saving money long after the original project is complete. Energent is very knowledgeable about many programs in many jurisdictions across Canada. And similar to a knowledgeable accountant, Energent is able to maximize the impact of incentive programs and the impact that they can have for you and your business. Energent brings together partners from all sides to support clients' energy management ambitions and plans. We are very familiar with engineering firms, utilities, and distribution companies, and regulators that can support successful management strategies. There is an increasing number of standards and requirements that companies that are interested in energy efficiency and energy management must comply to. Energent is able to leverage the data available from the Energent platform for use in multiple areas, including reporting requirements for ISO 50001 and ISO 14064. Energent is also able to be a strategic partner in energy management, from project planning to implementation and finally to reporting. So in summary, as we conclude, we found out that most incentive programs are similar in design but unique in qualifications. It is important to ensure that you have as much information on the programs as you're interested in to fully understand the opportunity. Get to know your utility representatives. Consider how many components are required to successfully navigate and maximize the incentive opportunities. It is difficult to conceive a single company has the ability and time to pull everyone together for audits, studies, pilots, implementation, and reporting. Energent has the relationships and knowledge to bring all parties together to plan and execute on a full and comprehensive strategy. Many of our clients are large industrial clients that have big energy budgets and are looking for ways to reduce them. Fortune 500 companies that have put their faith in Energent to help them manage their energy data and ultimately support a comprehensive energy management strategy. We have seen that energy management systems that are put in after many conservation measurements are undertaken. In cases where the client has installed an EMIS system early, the savings are often larger as the data gathered prior to the project has enabled better planning. Finally, the incentive programs often look for sustained savings, and an energy management system can not only provide visibility into the sustained savings, but also highlight opportunities for larger savings that may not have been visible in the past. Energent has been a trusted partner in the industrial and manufacturing sectors for many years, providing knowledgeable energy advice and analytics. We have customers across the country that has used Energent to lower cost and improve efficiency. So Energent is the first choice when it comes to industrial strength energy management information systems and services. So during the summer, we have another webinar coming up in August for the manufacturing sector. We do also run a number of healthcare and commercial webinars that are listed on our website. So on Thursday, August 16th at 2 p.m., we'll host a webinar featuring a number of successful case studies in which manufacturers and industrial customers have saved money on energy. We will share some of these stories in hopes to transfer the knowledge that they learned from doing these projects to the attendees that will participate in our webinar. So we want to thank you for joining us on our webinar today. We hope you have a better understanding of the different programs available for energy conservation incentives and how you can leverage these for your manufacturing business. For more information, please visit our website. We have a specific page dedicated to the industrial sector and your specific needs. We have a number of documents and pages to help you leverage these incentive programs, and you can find out a lot of information on how Energent can help you manage these programs and ultimately better manage and understand your overall cost of energy. So we'll take some time to see if there's been any questions asked during the presentation, and we'll take some time to answer them. So there's one question here about some of the other provinces and programs that we didn't measure, specifically about on the East Coast and the Maritimes and natural gas. So sort of two aspects of that. One, we tried to look for a number of programs and contacted people specifically for the industrial sector, and we weren't able to find anything with concrete information on the East Coast and in the Maritimes about these programs. And we're often finding that that they're focused on the commercial sector first, and some of the industrial programs have sort of waiting in the wings. So I think that the industrial energy incentive programs will continue to increase across the country. So, someone just sent me a link for Sask Power. So what I will do is I will share that information and we'll post it when we record our webinar and post it on our website. I will use this link from Sask Power, and thank you to that person who sent that through. We will send that through and make sure that it's posted on the website. So how do the incentive programs confirm energy savings for a project? That's a great question. So in most ways, and once again, I'll try to write a blanket statement because I can't answer for everyone. The projects are normally done in two ways. First off, that there's a program in place, or the audit, they call an energy audit, is put in place to predict and identify those opportunities. And then the second half of that is so they'll put the plan together to say we'll save this many gigajoules or this many kilowatt hours or kilowatts of savings. Then they have the measurement and verification to confirm that those savings were actually achieved. And in many cases, they will tie those savings to the measurement and verification program that is done at the end of the project. So there will be an understanding in the contract that is created in these incentive programs that there is a requirement to achieve the savings that are stated in the project, and there's monitoring or measurement and verification done to confirm those savings. So another question about Alberta and some of the incentive programs that are there. I know I didn't list anything in Alberta, and at the time when this webinar was done, we weren't able to find anything significant in Alberta with respect to the industrial and manufacturing sector. I know there's some with oil and natural gas, and this wasn't really the area that were there. So once again, if we do find anything about Alberta, I will post it. When we do record this webinar, we'll make sure that if there's any new information that we can find, we'll post that for you. So should a customer be an industrial customer to apply for industrial programs, even if they consume more than 15,000 megawatt hours? So no. So if you're a large customer, some hospitals might fall into this category that consume 15,000 megawatt hours. You will qualify for the industrial incentive programs in Ontario, specifically in this case. So if you are one of those large consumers, yes, you can qualify for the incentives available. There are water programs, yes. So there are water programs, and as is stated here, they're very regionalized. So we have one person that stated there are water programs in Toronto, the region of Waterloo, the region of Peel. Absolutely. We chose to stay away from water programs because they are so regionalized, and it was challenging to keep that within a reasonable time frame. So what we will do, if there is some interest in water, which is great, I mean, water will become, has the potential to become a very expensive commodity in the next few years. We can find out some more information on that and may run a specific webinar on water conservation. So that's a great feedback. So will there be future webinars incentives for new construction such as the HPNC in Toronto? Yes. So we always do looking for new webinar topics, and we can certainly do something on new constructions for larger commercial buildings as well as industrial buildings, and potentially if there's interest on the residential sector. So we will we'll put that into the queue and ensure that new construction is included in future webinars. And finally here, how much funding is available for monitoring programs, and what measures are supported underneath this program? So once again, depends on the area that we're talking about. So in Ontario, if a monitoring and targeting program, if you're more than a 15,000 megawatt hour consumer, then the funding programs are as much as 80%. There are obviously some guidelines and requirements around that, but the funding is up to 80% of that type of program. The programs that we're talking about in industrial are evolving, and the Ontario Power Authority has asked us through one of their conservation fund programs to look at redesigning some of the industrial programs and the way that they're set up. And so we're running a program with 4 customers, industrial customers right now across the province, looking at new ways of doing industrial incentive programs to ensure that it fits well with the customer as well as with the utility. So we're seeing some great success. So I think you'll see some stuff very soon about how the process has started, and then come in the next couple of years as the results start to come in, that there will be many more results about how successful this conservation fund project has been. So that will be coming through the OPA or whatever it's called in the next year or two, and we'll see more of that. So. We got one quick question here. Recommission of existing buildings in Ontario as well as other regions recovering will be more common in the future, and absolutely, I think that's a very good point, that recommissioning of existing buildings is a very energy efficient and financially efficient way to gain energy savings versus either building new or certainly tearing down. So yeah, we will, thanks for all these wonderful ideas. We'll ensure that these points here are taken and that we continue to evolve and expand our webinar features and topics as we go through. So I wanted to thank everyone for participating in today. We will post a couple of pieces that were asked for in the during the question period. We'll post that on our recordings. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to call me or email me at the address that is on the screen right now. We're always happy to answer those. And great. So thank you for spending the last 45 minutes with us. I hope you found it valuable, and we look forward to seeing you in August, if not before, for our next webinar. So thank you very much.